I suspect over 200 agents embedded within the crowd, including agents, or as they would call human assets, inside the Capitol dressed as Trump supporters before the doors were opened.
Was Ray Epps a federal agent assigned to spy on Baked Alaska?
Mr. Reagan.
Remember to buy my ridiculously overpriced t-shirts, hats, and mugs from my Mr. Reagan Teespring store. There's some new designs in there, so check those out. It helps my channel and it makes you look awesome at the same time. Or you know what, just give me money on Patreon, whatever you like. Christmas is coming. So the other day, Lara Logan dropped one of the best reports I have seen yet about Ray Epps on January 6th. This has been a little overshadowed, a little eclipsed by the announcement that they're going to release all the January 6th security camera footage. And so I thought I'd shine a spotlight on this Lara Logan report because I believe everyone needs to see this. This is a report in 3 parts, and you should watch all 3. Ray Epps is, of course, the notorious man who tried to direct the January 6th protesters to storm the Capitol.
We need to go into the Capitol!
And Ray Epps is the man who whispered in the ear of Ryan Samsel before Samsel charged the bike rack barricades.
Epps pulled this agitated rioter aside and said something. Conspiracists say he was giving marching orders, because seconds later, this happened.
According to Samsel, in an article published by A Newswire, in that moment, Ray Epps whispered the same thing that he had been shouting all day: "We gotta go into the Capitol." And this, said Samsel, was what compelled him to pull down that bike rack barricade. But Epps was never charged with any crimes related to January 6th and has in fact been lauded by leftists in D.C. as some kind of January 6th hero.
And now they pick this poor guy Epps out of nowhere and say, let's blame the entire thing on this guy. It's the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. And now you guys are doing it to this poor Ray Epps. Leave that guy alone, whoever he is.
Eventually, after the entirety of the conservative political world exposed the obvious reality that Epps was being protected by the FBI and by Democrats in Washington, D.C., Epps was charged with a slap on the wrist misdemeanor.
Epps has now been charged, more than 2.5 years later, with a Class A misdemeanor for disorderly conduct. Epps did not have to appear in court when he pled guilty. The DOJ waived his obligation and allowed him to appear via Zoom.
It's strange considering all those who have been convicted of crimes and have endured massively disproportionate punishments for doing nothing sinister at all.
Epps made it onto the FBI's list of unidentified January 6 suspects, but was removed around 6 months later without being charged. That was taken by many as a sign he was being protected.
And now he's been charged by the FBI anyway.
With a misdemeanor.
Yes.
My question would be then, what's the logical explanation of why he has not spent a day in jail all this time? Anybody else doing far less. Not only were picked up and put in jail to await trials indefinitely, but, had to wait for their day in court in a jail cell. He wasn't.
I went down to my parking garage to get my rental car. 20 U.S. Marshals jump out, get on the ground, guns, rifles. And that happened not just with me, but with everyone. I've heard stories of doors getting kicked down and the family having to go through the trauma. It's absolutely insane.
So in her groundbreaking report, Lara Logan interviewed this guy, Tim Genet. He is the once famous internet personality who goes by the name Baked Alaska. I had heard of Baked Alaska, but I'd never followed his work at all. But apparently he was famous enough to be featured on Family Guy.
He's often spotted in the land of memes.
Can I take your order? Dude, let's go! Got ketchup mixed with lettuce cheese.
Mr. Reagan has never featured on Family Guy. What the heck, McFarlane? Now, the reason why I suspect Tim Genet, aka Baked Alaska, has not yet been interviewed by anyone about his experiences on January 6th is that he was once associated with the alt-right and white nationalism. Oftentimes, journalists are reluctant to even interview such people as they fear being associated with them, and thus this might tarnish their brand. But Lara Logan, she has no such fear. She boldly goes where the story takes her. And the story of Ray Epps, though I never knew it until her reporting, is with Baked Alaska. It turns out that this one guy's experience is key to understanding the involvement of Ray Epps on January 6th. And I'll explain all this in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something. Chances are you've been here before. The chaos in the markets, oil and stocks. Just when you thought it was safe and interest rates are rising, new threats come out of nowhere. Tensions are boiling from Asia to Europe. Things are very volatile right now. You may not have considered gold before, but listen, it is not speculation, it's insurance. And right now, you need some insurance. Noble Gold Investments have been protecting investors from disaster for years with precious metals. So if you're worried, it might be time to take a fresh look at gold and silver. Gold is a proven safe haven shield for your portfolio and a volatility balance against uncertainty. Right now, Noble Gold Investments is offering a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with its new IRAs this month. If you open your Noble Gold Investments IRA or 401k rollover, you can claim your coin today. Remember, crisis brews, portfolios waver, gold insulates. Secure yourself against these threats. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now, noblegoldinvestments.com, the only gold company I trust. This guy, Tim Genet, aka Baked Alaska, he was the guy who recorded Ray Epps when he was instructing everyone to go into the Capitol.
We learned that Ray Epps talked to Baked Alaska about going into the Capitol twice.
Ray Epps came up to me and started saying, we need to go into the Capitol. If someone's saying something crazy, a lot of times I'll just agree, be like, yeah. So the first time he says this, and I'm like, let's go, which is a phrase that I say all the time.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
Let's go! And I'm just saying, let's go. All right, thank you. I'm like, I'm getting away from this creep. He's weirding me out. I'm getting weird vibes. Something's off.
Right.
I go to another group way far away from him. He follows me, and then he starts instructing the crowd, and that's the famous moment. He says, we need to go into the Capitol.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol.
Right when he said that, something clicked into my head. I was like, whoa, this is scripted. Because he said the same exact line, word for word,
and that's
3
not
times.
Natural.
It's not natural. And I've been doing this for about 10 years. I go to every single type of rally, so I'm able to see, what are natural statements. And so why is he going around to all the groups instructing them what to do? And he kept saying, we need to go in to the Capitol. But when he said it the third time, word for word, I knew there's a strong possibility this guy's a Fed.
And we've even got a bit of footage that we've never seen before. Ray Epps whispering his real intentions to Baked Alaska, trying to get a little confirmation of this plan.
We're not here to fight, man. We're here to storm. I'm not kidding.
We're here to storm the Capitol. Hell yeah. All right, have a good night. Be safe. Be safe, brother.
And it was Genet who started the Fed chant.
I started that chant, and guess what? The whole crowd joined in with me within seconds.
Peacefully! Fed! Peacefully!
And that wasn't planned or coordinated. That was just the Spirit moving. That was God saying, there's something up here. Like, watch out. There's something going on. And that's what I felt in my heart as a believer, truly.
So there's a lot here that we have not known before Laura Logan's reporting. But here's the thing that Laura Logan didn't quite go so far as to say. She's presented all the puzzle pieces, but she didn't say this outright. It appears that Ray Epps was an FBI informant assigned to tail and watch and to report on the activities of Tim Genet, aka Baked Alaska. That was Ray Epps' job, apparently. The FBI was keeping tabs on Baked Alaska, and Ray Epps was their guy that they used to watch him. And maybe this was just because Epps and Genet happened to be from the same area of the country. The FBI probably realized that assigning Epps to watch Genet would be convenient.
I despise Antifa. I've stood them down myself with the Army vets.
I respect that.
Queen Creek, Arizona.
That's where I live. Are you my neighbor? I swear. I live in Queen Creek.
I'm going to choke you, man.
Wait, this guy's
you
my neighbor.
antagonizing me, man?
Maybe it's because you're my neighbor.
Where you at?
It turned out January 5th was not the first time Ray Epps encountered Baked Alaska. You can see him circling during this live stream recorded by Baked Alaska at a Stop the Steal rally in Phoenix on November 30th, shortly after the 2020 election. It appeared to have been scrubbed from the internet.
And so here's the thing. I actually went on Twitter and I sent a direct message to Tim, to Baked Alaska. I sent him a direct message and he wrote me back. Actually, let me read the exact thing. So I wrote, basically, I'm thinking that maybe Epps was assigned to tail you. like you were the guy he was assigned to watch, months maybe. That was his role as an informant. This is not stated in the Laura Logan reports. I'm just curious if you think this is right. He writes back, dude, that's what I think too! Exclamation point. Yes, I believe he was assigned to watch me. All the info that came out about them making right-wingers into domestic terrorists, etc. And then I wrote, right, maybe that was why he was at the Capitol in the first place. So he writes back, yes, so I think they wanted to watch me, so they found someone in my town, Queen Creek. The closest agent they had was in Queen Creek. And he writes, dude, there is no other reason Liz Cheney would defend a Trump supporter who told people to go into the Capitol. So anyway, so this is actually Baked Alaska's own theory as well. So we kind of came to the same conclusion after I watched Laura Logan's report. But here's the weird thing. Why would a paid informant, Ray Epps, who was hired to spy on an FBI target, Baked Alaska, why would he try to agitate the crowd in this way? Wouldn't that blow your cover? This is precisely the opposite of what a spy should be doing when tailing someone. The last thing that you want to do is to draw attention to yourself.
One of the key concepts of spy tradecraft, going grey, enabling a spy to go about their business unnoticed and unchallenged.
You don't exactly blend. And that's the goal. You don't want to stand out. You don't want to be the person that people notice.
You can be seen, but you mustn't be noticed.
And so maybe it could be argued that, for whatever reason, this was just in Ray Epps' character. Maybe he was an odd guy, a loose cannon, and he just didn't know how to conduct himself covertly as to not be discovered. Or maybe he just lacked the discipline to control himself. This was perhaps poor judgment, an irrational, impulsive decision that he thought would help him to blend into the crowd. Well, no. According to one woman who knows Ray Epps personally, this is not in the character of Ray Epps at all.
He's yelling, go into the Capitol. That's not something I could see him saying. That's totally the opposite of the image that he had presented previously.
In what way?
Well, he was a Marine, very disciplined. They don't cross those lines.
No.
Yet here he was screaming to total strangers to cross that line. And it was so out of character from what I knew of him. It was so out of character that I would think someone that would have to be instructing him on how to conduct himself. That I couldn't think of any other logical explanation for his behavior, his demeanor, his words, any of it. And the more I heard, the more it seems to me that he was an informant.
And what's more, an irrational, impulsive decision would not explain the whisper to Ryan Samsell. No. Ray Epps was acting with intention. And as the woman in the interview said, it seems as if he was instructed by somebody to do this. It's quite obvious to me, and I don't know what the YouTube policy is on stating obvious truths about Ray Epps that are not approved by the federal government. So let's just say that this is my own subjective assessment that is probably totally wrong. But in my opinion, it looks to me like Ray Epps is an FBI informant who was told by his case officer in the FBI, this is what we're doing, and you're going to help. We want an insurrection, or at least the appearance of one. So we need you to agitate this crowd as much as possible. We need you to get them to go into the Capitol. And so Ray Epps did as he was told. He agitated the crowd and directed them to go into the Capitol, just as his case officer instructed. And I believe that they wanted to create the illusion of an insurrection so that they could convince the American people that there was a legitimate reason to remove Donald Trump from the ballots in 2024. Now, we know there was a ton of FBI paid informants in the crowd on January 6th.
There were undercover law enforcement officers in the crowds. We know that to be true.
I think there's enough evidence there right now to definitively prove that the government and several agencies were involved in the violence that day.
I suspect over 200 agents embedded within the crowd, including agents, or as they would call human assets, inside the Capitol dressed as Trump supporters before the doors were opened. When you track the origins of suggestions of potential violence or an active occupation of the Capitol on January 6th, you'll find that those messages were led by FBI agents that had infiltrated the group. So the FBI's involvement was deep, not just on J6, but on the days and weeks and months prior.
So here's what I want. I want to know what the other FBI informants were told to do that day. I want to know who else was told to agitate the crowd, or if they were not instructed to agitate, then what were they told to do exactly? And in Laura Logan's third video in this series, which again, I implore you to watch these videos, she actually exposes two other suspected feds in the crowd. People who, more than suspected. There's pretty clear evidence. It's pretty obvious they are feds. One of which I actually did a report on maybe a year ago.
This man was identified as Luke Philip Robinson. He was photographed with an earpiece and dubbed #GingerGun because he was caught on camera carrying a weapon. Yet like Ray Epps, Robinson was removed from the FBI suspects list and has remained a free man. When confronted by another January 6th defendant, Micaiah Jackson.
You had an earpiece and a firearm, man. You had a firearm on federal property. That's serious stuff.
He appeared uncomfortable and did not answer any of his questions.
What's with the earpiece at the Capitol? Who were you talking to?
I'll see you guys later.
But the other one, I believe her name is Megan Paradise. I'd never heard of until Laura Logan's report. So, yeah, fantastic.
Megan Paradise, number 9 on the FBI wanted list, and seen here holding a baseball she reportedly stole from Nancy Pelosi's office inside the Capitol. Hoft has dubbed her the female Ray Epps because, like Epps, she went too far for others in the crowd who immediately pushed back.
If a woman tells you to charge the line, never charge the line. No, dude, she's up there saying, we need to go. It's like, what are you talking about?
Don't listen to her.
And like Epps, made a reference to getting arrested.
I'll get arrested too, and I don't care. I need people to be with me.
Yet she's never been locked up.
Dude, this lady's like an agent for provocateur.
So now here's the thing. I suspect that a lot of these paid informants were told the plan. They were told to create the illusion of an insurrection, and I believe that they were instructed to agitate the crowd, maybe even to break windows and even to tussle with officers. I believe that many of the physical confrontations, maybe they were not between Trump supporters and officers, but maybe they were between these agitators and officers. I'm curious if you guys agree, disagree, or have other perspectives on this. Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Now, if you haven't seen the Laura Logan reports, as I said, there are 3 episodes out now. I think that's all of them. I think that's the entire series. Maybe she's going to put out more. I don't know. But I highly recommend watching these. Honestly, this should be required viewing in high schools all over America, in universities all over the country right now. Every student should have to watch this. This is what journalism used to be. This is what journalism should be again and could be again. It's up on Laura Logan's Twitter account right now, as well as her website, truthinmedia.com. Laura Logan should be considered as one of the few people in that small group of public figures, people like Sebastian Gorka, Scott Pressler, Tucker Carlson, Maria Bartiromo, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and of course, Donald Trump, who are actually doing the work that needs to be done to save America. And even though I'm not doing anything like enough to save this country, I am trying to do the little bit that I can myself. So buy my ridiculously overpriced t-shirts and hats and mugs from my Mr. Reagan Teespring store. There are some new designs up, so check those out. Help out my channel and look awesome at the same time, or just throw money my way on Patreon. Well, that's it for me. And remember, it's not that liberal friends are ignorant, it's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.